So we are going to make a really easy 5-ingredient healthy brownie today. It's not going to be quite like your thick fudge bars that you're used to, liking.
Right.
But it's healthier. So, and it's easy. So
this is sugar-free, right?
Well, except for honey.
Well, yeah, I guess a natural sugar.
Natural sugar is going to be in there.
Sugar in this one.
So we're going to get started. So we are going to have 1 cup of dark chocolate chips. And Gary is going to take these over to the microwave. And you're going to put it on the microwave on high for about 30 seconds. And you're not going to find that they've really melted much in those first 30 seconds. But you can stir it a little bit, put it back on high for another 30 seconds. Stir it, more will have melted by that time.
Every 30 stir.
And then about 15 seconds after that. And in the last stir, you're going to have a few whole chocolate chips. But just keep stirring it, and it'll be a nice consistency.
It'll smooth out after that. Okay.
So while Gary is doing that, I am going to whisk 2 eggs until they are frothy and pale in color. And it's not quite as frothy right away as if you were using your electric beaters, but this says to use a whisk, so that's what we're going to do. While I'm whisking, I just got to update you a little bit here on our beautiful granddaughter, Eleanor Rose. Well, actually today, as we are taping this on July 13th, it is Megan and Paul's, Eleanor's parents, 5th wedding anniversary. So we had another opportunity to babysit Eleanor this past week. And we had a really special event last weekend when Eleanor was baptized. And she was a perfect, best little baby. She didn't make a sound while she was having the water poured on her head, and she just kind of chewed on 1 or 2 of her little fingers and just was perfect. She was wearing a beautiful christening gown that I actually made from Gary's mother's wedding dress. So that would be the material from her great-grandmother's wedding dress. So she looked beautiful, and it was a family event. About 13 of us were here, and Eleanor did a perfect job. And then this past week, when we were in Madison babysitting, we discovered how Eleanor, every week we see her, just keeps growing and maturing. You kind of forget what your own kids do when they're babies, but she loves to look at books, and she got some books for her baptism, and one is baby farm animals that have these little windows that open, and she loves to sit and open those little windows. So she and Papa were reading, and she had the best time.
That was great.
And now, as I'm done talking about Eleanor and Megan and Paul, it's frothy and pale. And
this is melted. It actually took 2 sessions of 30 seconds, and it was almost done, so I gave it 10 more seconds. And all the chips are basically melted, save a few that I just stirred in.
Good.
So, just like you said.
So you can pour this in, and while you're pouring this in, I'm going to pour in 1/3 of a cup
Can I pour
of
it right
honey.
over that?
Yep, just pour it right in there. Yep.
Over the whisk.
1/3 of a cup of honey. So I had some in there from another container, so I'm just finishing this off. So it is very healthy. They're, like I said, they're going to be thin, not like your thick, fudgy brownies that we make. But they also taste much better than those
years ago, we did some paleo brownies
we tried, which
some other
were a
recipe.
disaster.
Yeah, they really were. They tasted very, very bitter. Now, these are not really sweet. We tested these the other day, and they're not that sweet, but you just know they're very chocolatey. And
use this
you
now.
want to use that? Okay. They're very chocolatey, but not sweet. So you can eat them with ease, knowing that they're a healthy brownie.
I'll have to put that dish back over here. We'll keep all of our dirty dishes on the other side. Okay. So then we're going to just whisk the chocolate and honey together. And I was wondering how that was going to turn out. Whoops. Using a whisk.
Turns out
But it also works just fine. Okay. This is one of my tilt bowls from Longaberger, so I can see why they have you tilt your bowl.
Tilt it
There.
so it's easier to stir that way, I
Yep,
suppose.
and you don't have a whole lot coming off of your whisk. Okay, and then we're going to finish it off with a pinch of salt. So that's going to be our pinch, and 1/3 of a cup of whole wheat flour. So then you can just fold that in.
That gets
okay.
folded. Okay. So do not whisk it, is what you're saying?
Right. So you just fold the whole wheat flour in, and when the flour, is all incorporated and disappears, then it's done. So you don't have to, to whip it or anything or overdo it. Okay.
Okay. Just fold. How's that?
Yep. Just make sure there's no flour left.
No clumps of flour. It's all good. Pour it
And
in.
pour it in an 8-inch grease pan. And the first batch that I tried, I made yesterday, and I did not happen to have an 8-inch pan in my kitchen. So I used a 9-inch pan, so they came out a little bit thinner than what they're going to be. So Gary just went out and just bought an 8-inch foil pan.
Okay. I'm having a difficult time getting this all out.
Okay.
Am I doing
Get
okay?
that? Yep.
Try to get every last drop if possible.
You can use another scraper if you want.
Okay. And then how long do you bake
Okay,
this?
and then we are going to bake these for exactly 15 minutes. And this would be a memory from the past when you were hungry that one time before we were married, and you had moved and you were working in Minnesota. And you got so hungry for brownies, so you decided to go out. Remember that story?
Oh, yeah.
Tell
Oh.
us that.
I can tell that story again if I
Yeah.
haven't told it before. So I was so hungry for brownies, I went out and bought a box brownie mix, Buddy Crocker, one of those brands,
Doesn't
and bought a 9x13 steel baking pan, and put them in the oven. And I remember how my mom made them, and she always made them, and they seemed to, when we ate them, they were always, chewy and very delicious, and they looked like they were done, because they were done. Well, when I had my pan in the oven, every time I checked it 30 minutes later, it wasn't done. I poked it, and it seemed really soupy, and I gave it another 15 minutes, and another 15, another 30. So I had it in the oven for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, somewhere in that vicinity, and took them out and let them cool down, and the more they cooled, the harder those things got. I'm not kidding.
But you said when you initially
I thought
cut them,
I took
it
some
was
and
fine.
it was just fine. They were gooey gummy, just like Mom's. But then set them out overnight, let them cool. I had to get a screwdriver to get them to pry them out of the pan. They were so hard. So that's my story.
Is it? Okay.
Since then, Ruthie has taught me a little more
And when it says,
interesting and
sometimes when
correct
it
things
says
about baking
only
items.
bake for a certain amount of time,
Trust
you only
them.
bake for a certain amount
Trust
of time.
them.
So
Yeah.
15 minutes
Okay.
in a 350 degree preheated oven. Okay? This is how they look.
how
Like
they
I said,
look.
they're kind of thin. They're not like your thick bars, but,
Right. But
they have a
they're-
nice little,
but they're healthier than
kind
the
of
other
shine,
bars. Yeah, they do.
on the top.
Yeah.
And you suggested we should probably have some ice cream or something with them.
But that defeats the purpose
Defeats
of
the
having
purpose.
a
A
sugar-free, healthy brownie.
Brownie. So what you could do
Yeah.
though, if you want to add some extra calories, put some ice cream on top, make some homemade fudge sauce as seen on a previous, Cooking with Ruth show,
that.
and you're good to go.
you
Add some
go.
pecans, and it's like a turtle.
There
a
you
little
go.
bit of caramel
Oh,
sauce.
there's
So,
an idea. Add some pecans.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Cooking with Ruth and Gary. So until next time,
Thank you.
happy cooking. Eat. Okay.
All right.
There we go.
Gary's looking spatula.
I feel like
Mike Warren.
no, Mike Warren, or I was going to say Charlotte and Mia, the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Our grand dogs. They love peanut butter.